Christmas has always been my favorite time of the year. The lights, the cold air, the gathering of family, it all had a magic to it. This particular Christmas, however, was going to be a little different. My parents had moved to Florida that year, and my sister was spending the holiday with her in-laws, so I was spending Christmas alone in my new rental house. It was supposed to be peaceful, an opportunity for some solo time. But the events that unfolded left me wishing I'd booked a last-minute flight somewhere crowded and far away. The house was a single-story, cozy-looking place just outside of town, nestled right on the edge of a small patch of woods. Perfectly quaint for the holiday season, right? But from the moment I moved in, the place didn't feel quite right. I brushed it off as the usual feeling of settling into a new space, especially one with a lot of character. Creaky floors, drafty windows, and an attic door that seemed to have a mind of its own. December 23rd rolled around, and I started decorating the house with some festive lights and the few decorations I had. I even managed to set up a small artificial tree in the living room to make the place feel homier. It was quiet, a little too quiet, but I had my phone and music to keep me company as I moved through the house. Late that night, after hanging a wreath on the front door, I heard a knock. Thinking it was a package delivery, I opened the door but found no one there. Just an empty front porch covered in a light layer of snow. Odd. I chalked it up to kids playing pranks and went back inside, locking the door. Around midnight, while I was watching a Christmas movie and trying to relax, I heard a light scratching noise coming from the front door. This time, I stayed put, keeping the TV volume low. The scratching stopped after a few seconds, followed by complete silence. I remember laughing nervously to myself, convincing myself that maybe a tree branch had brushed against the door, even though there were no trees nearby. Still, I turned on the porch light and took a quick look outside through the peephole. Nothing. On Christmas Eve, I spent the day running last-minute errands and picking up some groceries for Christmas Day. When I got back, I found a small wrapped gift on my doorstep. No name, no tag, just a box, wrapped in plain red paper with a single piece of string tied around it. I assumed it was from a neighbor welcoming me to the area, so I brought it inside, setting it on the kitchen counter, intending to open it after dinner. After I finished eating, I opened the package. Inside was an antique-looking bell, small and tarnished, with a faint scent of something I couldn't quite place. There was no note, nothing to explain who had left it or why. I figured maybe it was some kind of quirky holiday tradition around here. But something about the bell felt off. It was ice cold to the touch, and when I rang it, the sound it made was hollow and eerie, echoing through the house in a way that made the hairs on my neck stand up. I tried to ignore it and went to bed, but that night was different. The quiet that had once been almost relaxing now felt oppressive, like it was weighing down on me. Around 3 a.m., I heard what sounded like faint jingling. Half asleep, I sat up, heart pounding. The noise seemed to be coming from just outside my bedroom door, then faded down the hall. I was too afraid to get up and check, so I stayed under the covers, listening as it eventually faded away. On Christmas morning, I woke up exhausted, but tried to keep things light by cooking myself a big breakfast and playing some holiday music. Still, something felt off, and I couldn't shake the memory of the jingling sound from the night before. As I was cleaning up after breakfast, I noticed that the bell from the night before wasn't where I had left it. I checked all over the counter, then the living room, then the hallway. Nothing. I was sure I hadn't moved it. The day passed without incident, but as night fell, I felt my anxiety rising. That night, as I lay in bed, I was on high alert, my ears straining for any sound. Around 2 a.m., the jingling returned, louder this time, and it wasn't fading. It was moving closer, the sound echoing down the hall, coming straight toward my room. I lay frozen, my eyes fixed on the door. The jingling stopped just outside my door. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I waited, holding my breath, convinced someone, or something, was on the other side. I wanted to shout, to demand whoever was there to leave, but no words would come out. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the jingling faded, moving back down the hall, and silence returned. I stayed awake for the rest of the night, listening, terrified to even move. When daylight finally crept in, I forced myself to get up and check the house. Every room was empty, every door and window locked tight. But then I noticed something that made my stomach turn. On the floor, by the front door, was the bell. Only this time, it was covered in fresh snow, as if it had been left outside all night. On the morning of December 26th, I decided to leave. I called a friend, packed my things, and within an hour, I was gone. As I drove away, I glanced back at the house, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief that I didn't have to spend another night there.